So here are some steps that we could follow. Now there's only one rule, and that's keep it balanced, but we could follow some of these steps. And the idea of equation solving is a couple things important to keep in mind. We want to keep it balanced. Okay, we're trying to unwrap the variable. We're trying to undo the calculations. Okay, so we're trying to work backwards essentially, and we want to undo the calculations. So when we solve for this x, we want to, first of all, we want to see exactly what we're dealing with. So we could multiply through with the brackets, multiply out the brackets so we can see all the x's here. Okay, and the idea is we want to combine like terms to keep it organized. Okay, so we end up with 6x minus 2 equals 13. Now we want to undo this calculation, and we want to undo with a plus. We go undo minus with a plus, and we keep it balanced. Okay, so it's going to be 15. And then we undo the times with a divide. Okay, and then we end up with 1x is equal to 15 over 6, which simplifies to, that would be 5 over 2. Okay, and the idea is we want to get rid of these brackets, and we want to account for our terms, so combine our like terms, and then we want to undo these calculations to get the x by itself. So again here, one thing to be careful of, and this is something that I see all the time, and we want to avoid this, is we don't want to do that first. Okay, 3 minus 2 does not work because we have to do the times before the minus. Okay, so when we're doing this as well, we need to keep track of our terms. So the 3 doesn't get affected. We're going to distribute the minus into the brackets. We end up with minus 6x minus negative 1 is going to be plus 2. Okay, so taking away two groups of minus gives you plus in this case. And again, keeping track of your positives and negatives is really important. That's where most of the mistakes happen, is when you lose track of positives and negatives. So I'm going to group my terms. So this is a negative 6x plus 3 plus 2 minus 8 gives me minus 3. Okay, and we record that negative 33. Okay, undo these calculations. We undo minus with plus. Okay, and we undo times with the divide. And I can get rid of the negative by dividing by negative, because negative divided by negative gives me my positive x, which is I'm looking for. Here, the negative divided by negative is going to give me the positive 5. Okay. So here there's variables on both sides. Again, when we distribute out these brackets, actually we could do something here. Since we have 12 to 36, they're all divisible by 2, we can take half the groups and we can divide everything by 2. Now I'm not going to do this, but this is something we could do. We could end up with negative 12, 2c minus 4, positive 1, 12c minus 9, sorry, 12 minus 9c, plus half of 36, which is plus 18. So we could take half of all these groups and say that this stays balanced. Again, the only rule is balance. When I'm not going to do that, so I'm going to multiply out the brackets, but make sure that when we multiply out the brackets with negatives, okay, that we're really careful with multiplying out those negatives. Okay, so that negative 12 becomes negative 24 c's. Negative groups of minus 4 is plus. We're going to add 12 groups of 4. Okay, here again we're going to distribute. So we get 24 minus 18c plus 36. Okay, so I'm going to combine my like terms. So 24c plus 48 is equal to, in this case it's going to be 60 minus 18c. Okay, so I'm going to add 24 to both sides, 24c. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want the positive c. That means I need to get rid of 61s on both sides. So I end up with negative 12 equals positive 6c, and then dividing by the positive 6, I end up with c equals negative 2. So there's my solution. Okay, so with algebra tiles, okay, so when we have an algebra tile, remember that these tiles represent 1x. Again, the algebra tiles have a width of 1, a length of x, and the area is our algebra tile x. Here, this is width of 1, length of 1, and the area of 1 is our algebra tile. When we talk about the area, so we talk about algebra tiles, we're talking about the area. So if I have an equation, 3x plus 2 equals 2x minus 1, there's my algebra tile balance. Okay, and I can even draw a balance in there and say that they're balanced. And in fact, if you want, you can solve this equation by taking away 2x's from both sides, keeping it balanced. Okay, we can pair up negative 1's. As long as we put negative 1's on both sides, okay, there's our zero pair. We get 1x equals negative 3. Okay, so this is a way we can use the balance to solve the equation. Now, you don't need to use the balance because we do have algebra to solve these equations, but you do need to know how to set up an algebra tile balance. So we're not going to use those balloons and stuff. Those balloons were only just to show that there's a physical effect of negatives and positives on the balance, but we don't really need to show those on the balance. So here, when we solve this, okay, we're going to take away the 2x's. Okay, so taking away 2 like that has this algebraic effect of minus 2x on both sides. We're going to take away 2 from both sides is when we did the zero pair here, and we added the 2 1's over here. Okay, so what we do algebraically, there's a physical equivalent on the balance, and then we get the answer x equals negative 3.